Nice to meet you. Chris, nice to meet you.
Hi, I'm Dr. Welch. Nice to meet you.
I did my senior project on the process of becoming a firefighter. A little about me. I play volleyball here for the school and for Pioneer Valley. I skateboard, I listen to music, go to concerts. I did my research paper on the civil service exam, which is the test you would take to become a firefighter. Essentially, one of the ways to do it, the test is taken every 2 years, opposite of the police test they take. And you take the test and you have to pay a fee to take the test. And then you take a physical exam, which has 10 different steps, the processes, like different, I don't know what you'd call it, like goals you have to do, crawling through small tunnels and pulling hoses, like essentially what you'd have to do as a firefighter. Then you would take a written exam. There's multiple choice. There's like the questions which are agree more and stuff like that, or disagree, greatly disagree and stuff like that. Those type of questions. And then depending on what your score is, you want to get a very high score so you can be placed into a department sooner. And if you score low, you'll be put on a waiting list until a department's ready to pick you up, which could take longer. My topics are firefighting itself and the process of becoming one. I chose the process of becoming a firefighter so it would help me in the future, so I knew how to go about doing it for after I'm out of high school. My ideas were carpentry and firefighting. I take carpentry over at Career Tech, and I chose firefighting. My grandfather is a firefighter in Maine, so it really interested me. So I visited the East Long Meadow Fire Station, and I spoke with Inspector Ben Cody, and he told me basically he filled in all the blanks on what I didn't know about what I researched on the process. There's 3 different ways you can become a firefighter. You can take the exam, or you can go to college and become an EMT, and then become a paramedic, and then be picked up by a fire department, which is essentially what a lot of people do because it's a little faster, gets you out working sooner, gets you the better experience, and they like the paramedic part of it because you already have the experience saving lives as a paramedic. Or you can do it in the military for whatever branch you chose, like Navy, Air Force. You take the ASFAB exam, be placed on your score and all that, talk to recruiters. But depending on the branch, the firefighting is always different. Like if you chose like National Guard or Air Force, it's like more forest fire stuff. Navy's like they're doing the fires that's on the ship. They do a lot of mechanics and electronics and stuff. This is how can't think of the word now. The graph or something like that. But you got the college classes. You take a 1-year course to be an EMT, and then that gets you out working as an EMT. And while you're also taking another course to be promoted as a paramedic, which is a 2-year course. And then after you become a paramedic, the departments start looking. You put it as a resume, you apply for different fire departments, and they'll pick you up eventually after you apply and stuff. There's the exam. You take the exam, get placed, which is always good to do, even if you do the college courses, because it's good to take at least once. It is an expensive exam. It's around $200 to take the exam, just to take it. And if you don't go on the day they tell you that you have to take the test, you have to pay a fee to retake it, which is also pretty expensive. So, and then the military part of it, you take the ASFAB, which I did take that. I did not score very high on that. So I chose the middle one, the college way of it, to become an EMT first, which I got accepted to stick for that. It's a 1-year program, so. I learned that the civil service exam for firefighters is every 2 years, opposite of the police exam, which is every other year. And then I learned that there's firefighting in the military, which if you chose that, you could also become a firefighter after you came out of the military because you got that veteran status. They like that on the resumes too. They consider it a very respectable thing, plus you have all the experience from being in the military and you have the discipline and all that, so they know that you do good as it. In conclusion, I thought this project was very helpful for me because I had no clue what I was going to do at first. I was completely lost. I was just going to school, waiting to get out, and they came up with this project. Some think it'd be easier just to take the test, but the project definitely helped because it got me speaking with people like the inspector at the fire station in East Long Meadow, figuring out what I actually want to do and how to go about doing it. And I chose to become an EMT first and to work my way up. That's about it. Any questions?
I love the topic that you chose. My grandfather was chief in the city of Springfield.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was 3 years old, I actually used to sleep at the fire station and go to fires in the chief's car.
Really?
So slid down the pole and everything else.
Okay.
Yeah. He started tending the horses when the fire trucks were horse-drawn. So obviously the profession has really, really changed.
Oh yeah.
What drew you? You said your grandfather's a firefighter, but what drew you to that?
I originally wanted to be a carpenter because one of my other grandfathers was a carpenter too,
Uh-huh.
and I have the experience of that too because I go to school for that already, so I know that. But what drew me was I really like helping people, and one of my other grandfathers is a firefighter, and I've seen him do the stuff. He's got all the medals and the stuff in his office, and I've seen the fire stations, and I just feel like it's a really honorable thing to do. So going out and helping people, saving lives and whatnot. So anybody else?
My father was a firefighter. Also, I have a nephew that did the EMT, and a firefighter,
Mhm.
and he absolutely loves it. And they work different shifts. I don't know if you understand. And he's working maybe 10 days a month. And
Right.
he does the others off because he does 10 long days.
72 on, 72 off.
And he said it gives him time for his family, and I know with my father, he always had a second job and all
Right.
that. But, that it is a very honorable profession.
And that's one of the benefits of having carpentry under my belt there. So as a firefighter, I can also do carpentry work on the side, which I know a lot of people who do that.
What do you think will be the hardest parts of the process, going from graduating here to actually being a fireman?
Well, I think the hardest part should be the other classes I have to take back to college. High school was pretty hard for me. I do have a learning disability. I have ADHD and all that, and so learning is a little difficult for me. So I'm gonna have to really try hard for that. But college is gonna be all different. It'll be harder classes. Teachers gonna be more strict, not as lenient, and getting in shape. That'll be a little difficult.
A lot of people in East Long Meadow think it's time for us to move from the call fire department to the full-time fire department. They feel the town has really grown. There have been some pretty significant fires in town and, some loss of homes and so forth. Do you have any thoughts about that? Do you think it's time?
I would agree with that. I mean, we are a small town, but a lot goes on in our small town, And the police station, the fire station, both right there. And then if we had the full-time fire station, I feel like it would be a little easier to get to the fires and faster because, we are small, but they still have to travel to the fire station before they can get to the fire. It would make it quicker for them to get to where they got to go.
I wonder if, was it Inspector Cote?
Yeah.
In construction, we interact with the fire department all the time
Right.
as part of the final inspection process. And 100 years ago, there was just fires were such a huge issue. They're still to this day a huge issue, but a lot of what the fire department does now is fire prevention. And I wonder if Dr. Cote brought that up with you at all. That's a whole other realm of firefighting.
Right.
Working with local building officials, working with local contractors to make sure that firewalls are constructed properly with sealing of all penetrations, and
hmm
sprinkler systems, of course. The owner fee.
Well, we didn't really touch on that too much, but I would agree that that is very important because in building a building is you'd say you want to make sure you don't put in the wrong stuff. Is like in the ceilings they got the asbestos or whatever they put in the building,
Sure.
stuff that could be flammable.
Yes.
You gotta make sure you don't build the wrong
Yes.
stuff, coordinating with the building, the constructor on site and all that.
So, as even in this room, if we were to build a room like this, part of the closeout procedure for the fire department is they would want what's called a flame spread
Mhm.
testing and ratings. It goes to a certified lab for these curtains, and there's probably a tag in the back of the curtain that lists what the flame spread rating is, and any furniture in the building that has a fabric probably has a piece of paper on the back. It's a whole different, it's a whole related realm to firefighting that
hmm
it's kind of, it's really, when you think, well, geez, maybe we can stop the fire before it happens with that knowledge and the right
Right.
approach, I think is, it's not initially what comes to your mind when you think of firefighting, but I think what better way to save lives to prevent the fire
Right. Than to stop it
Putting
before it
out.
happens.
Yeah, so, that's another.
That's a very interesting way to look at it too.
Yeah,
Is if you can make whatever it is that starts fires less flammable to cause less fires, then
yeah,
would
you mentioned
definitely
going to
save more.
concerts, I don't know if you remember the fire down in Rhode Island,
yeah, about that the
Um,
concert that people were
Great White, I
trapped.
think, was the band, and
Mhm.
the fire started, and, there was no flame spread ratings on any of that stuff.
No.
The flames just engulfed the building, and,
That is something like if I was into that, I would look at that. 'Cause concerts they got all the electricity set up, all the
Right.
speakers,
yeah.
all that could cause huge fires if they don't go about it right.
Every building material now is tested, flame
Mhm.
spread and smoke. How much smoke does it generate? How quickly does the flame spread? A lot of the building materials are all dictated by the fire department and what the fire department wants. One of the big holdups to having PVC pipe and other plastic materials in commercial buildings is the fumes that they put off. They're cheaper and quicker to install. They're more economical in that regard, but if there's ever a massive fire, the fumes from that plastic, because it's a petroleum-based product, would just make it so that the firefighters couldn't even go in there.
Right,
So
because it's
kinda-
dangerous to want to breathe it in.
Yeah, exactly. So, kind of look around, it's really all around you,
Oh
Look
yeah,
under a chair, look behind a curtain, it's everything's tested. It's a very important aspect of,
absolutely.
especially with your carpentry, the built environment and how that bleeds over into the firefighting.
Right, we were doing a job recently at Career Tech. We were over at Franconia Golf Course.
Sure.
We're adding on a overhang to their building, their garage, and inside it's got the insulation, and we're
Sure.
using an angle grinder. The
Yeah.
sparks almost caught
Right
up. You wouldn't think of it because they're just sparks, but
Yeah,
you gotta
right.
be careful with that.
You've probably seen the mineral wool,
Mhm.
which is, they use that in the firewalls. It's a wool-based product, not a fiberglass-based product,
Right.
and it won't burn. And then the red fire caulking around all penetration sets to stop the migration of smoke.
hmm
One of the big dangers to firemen when they do enter a building on fire is the smoke inhalation. Oftentimes it's not even the